Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth Market Update. I'm your host, Allison Ankerstar, and today we'll be talking about the dropping of the federal mask mandate, Tesla's earnings forecast for Wednesday, and the resurgence of WeWork. But before we begin, as a reminder, this financial education presentation should not be construed as personal financial advice. Full disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com. Good morning, Steve. TSA is dropping the mask mandate after a federal court ruling yesterday. What does that mean for the markets?
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for that intro, Allison. What kind of great news last night? There's all kinds of funny stories going around of, airplanes full of people cheering when they heard the mask mandate was announced by the captain, and everybody rips off their masks and stuff. So, well, I think overall it has to be a good sign, right? When we talk about really 2022, you've heard me say over and over again, we're going to fight inflation. That's the disease. Where the Fed is going to raise interest rates. That's the cure. We'll see what's worse, the disease or the cure. And of course, the Ukraine-Russia thing needs to wrap up. Well, this obviously doesn't have anything to do with any of that, but it talks about like last year's story. So I would think largely the markets are past the whole COVID thing, unless there's a complete resurgence. But I do think for an overall general happiness of the population, which includes, investors, about 50% of the people out there invest. So it's a good thing, right? I think everybody's a little tired of it. We'll see what happens now after, most of the airlines are having their mask mandate reduced. I looked up Southwest because I fly out later this week, and they're optional already on Southwest. United right away was like, no mask. So overall, I think that it's going to be a very slight uptick in the overall optimism from everyone because they're released from this mandate. When you look at the overall market, though, I do think that the market has been overly negative lately, and that we're kind of due for a bounce of sorts. So here's a 1-year chart. So we kind of went in here after the first couple months, 2.5 months straight down, retraced over 50% again. That was such a huge move back up. Maybe we overshot that to the upside, and now we're here down at the 437 mark on the SPY. I do think we bottom here and started moving back higher. I do not think we continue down into the 430 or 420 range and retest these lows. I just don't. So I think, we were in the middle of earnings season. Banks looked good overall. And we have Tesla tomorrow. We'll talk about here in a second. So there's a lot of things to be excited about on the future. And, the mass, in conclusion, Allison, mass mandate, I think is just one of those little things that will help the overall optimism of the market.
Next, Tesla's earnings are coming up tomorrow. What do you expect?
All right. Well, Tesla is one of those unique companies, obviously, out there, and Elon Musk is in the news all the time, seemingly even more every day now with this Twitter takeover bid. But Tesla's kind of his baby, right? And, he's got the factory here in Austin. That's exciting. But really, when you look at the stock, you have to think of, and I've been wrong on this, I'll fully admit, I've been wrong on Tesla from the get-go. You have to think about where is Tesla going, not what they're doing. And there's a interesting video clip I've seen several times because clients like to send it to me, especially ones that know I have been wrong about Tesla. Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary, is talking about the how kind of missed the boat on Tesla for it's a tech company and what it's going to do for the world. So I don't own a Tesla. I have ridden in several Teslas now. I do like all the mapping that they're doing, and each car is bringing in information, which is all data, which can be used somehow, for the betterment of society. But overall, you see Credit Suisse here has an outperform. They do have their earnings coming up. Earnings have been a little bit muted, so I'd have to think a car company would have had trouble meeting earnings in the first quarter. I really do. So I can't imagine that they're going to blow out earnings. But then you never know. Tesla always seems to have a surprise up its sleeve. When you look at the future of Tesla, though, excuse me, I think it does come down to, Kathy Wood talked about it yesterday on air about if it's a big if, but if Tesla is the leader, that's the first to the autonomous kind of taxi service, if you will, the whole concept of, and this is being teased out if you've watched the series about Uber and the Uber founder, Travis Kalanick, I'm probably not saying that right. But the Uber was founded on, we're going to have this army of cars that are ready to go, and it was a great idea, obviously $1 billion idea. But now, what if you take the driver out of that and you just have an autonomous fleet of taxis, which are around kind of like the little green scooters are downtown Austin, right? So if you think of it from that, whoever cracks into that is, Kathy Wood saying it's a $5,000 stock, 4x from where it is now. If that actually happens, I don't like to say she's wrong. She's been wrong a lot lately, but that's a big move. I just don't know if there's any numbers that could justify that kind of move. But I think that would certainly make the call of where it's at now more likely for it to be able to continue higher instead of stall out. That I think that Apple is still working behind the scenes on the exact sort of thing for the iCar. They haven't announced whether they're continuing with it or whether they've bailed on it, so nobody really knows. And Apple's good at keeping secrets, but they did hire a ton of auto engineers a couple years ago for that very specific purpose. So we shall see. So overall, if you have Tesla, it's because you believe in it's changing the future. So if you have it, hold it. If you want a couple shares, pick it up. I just wouldn't make it a huge part of your portfolio or count on it going up 4x in the next few years. So overall, that's my take on Tesla. And best of luck for them for earnings tomorrow, just like everybody else. But I would not be I'm not too excited about them blowing the doors off their numbers tomorrow.
Last, WeWork has dropped significantly since its IPO, with probability on the horizon. Is ticker WE a buy, sell, or hold?
Yeah, profitability is a big move in a company that has only lost money since its inception. So, the whole concept, and Adam Newman, it's also another one of these that's on. There's a documentary out there called We Crashed that's quite hilarious. My wife and I are watching some of that. I think we're about halfway through, but some really amazing performances, kind of detailing the vision here and the charismatic founder and eccentric for sure. But really, you have a company that is kind of a good idea, kind of like Uber. It's a shared workspace. I've never been in one, but I see what the show highlights, and I have to imagine that it's probably pretty good. But yeah, so it's a flexible workspace. When you think of what are companies going to do? We had COVID kind of forced everybody to work from home for a while. Some companies are saying, "Hey, come back to work in the office." Some companies went, "You know what? If my workers aren't going to be here, I'm going to save the money," and they got rid of the office or a portion of the office. And if you do that, there is still going to be a subset of your employees that don't want to work from home or can't work from home, whether that's a physical limitation or a mental limitation or a circumstantial limitation, meaning, family, they don't have an ability to sequester themselves, or they're easily distracted from their own home, because that's all the things they love that are there, right? So there's going to be a subset of folks that are in a work from home environment where working from home doesn't work for them, if that makes sense. So they're going to need to use some of this office space where they can go somewhere and actually, work there. Now, the docu-series paints it as an office party, honestly, as an out of control millennial kind of based social environment where I don't really see anybody working during the show, but that'd be kind of boring. So I get it why they're portraying it that way. But if you're distracted at home, would you be distracted in a WeWork office? I don't know, probably. But I could see there are some companies contracting some WeWork space to have office space available. I did think of an idea way back when of contracting out like a conference room. So if I go to meet a client, I just meet them in a conference room somewhere, since I really don't have one of my own, or I did here at my house, but I got rid of it, for room because we're growing and adding folks, but then secondly, because don't really need strangers in the house, that sort of thing. So I do think that if WeWork is able to gain profitability, now would certainly be the time to buy into the stock. So let's take a look at ticker WE real quick. It's been pain. If you're in it, you're down, that sort of thing. And it's got, moved down 11% tomorrow. We'll do a 1 year. So yeah, IPO'd, I think in 21 sometime. So we'll find the exact date. So September of 20, actually, sorry. And then, really, when you look at the chart, some optimism here, but all the way down to $5. It's sitting at 633, bouncing significantly off of yesterday's sell-off. So really, yeah, I don't think it's a bad investment here. I would have to look at a little bit more for it's going to get my capital, but I think it's certainly something to consider out there.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Please submit your questions as a comment through social media or directly to our email at vipservices@ankerstarwealth.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to get daily updates. That's all we have for today's show. I'm Allison Ankerstar, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.